Okay. Ama is awe. The recognition is the wow factor. The recognition that there are things in the world that are whoa. Yira is the recognition that's a little more personal. There is stuff in this world that's precious to me. I am emotionally involved in the world. I am possessed of the world. And people can ruin their lives by having no fear, because they have nothing that's precious to them, nothing that they're emotionally involved with. You become stone cold, right, to everything. If you don't care about anything, then you have no fear, right? Because there's no way to get to me. You know, they talk about, you know, the CIA agent guy, right? You can't get to me because there's nothing in the world I care about, right? Nobody you can go after because I don't care about anything, right? It works nicely for a spy novel, but it's a pretty depressing way to live to live a life. But you want to have a full life. You want to find things that should be your friends should be precious to you, your wife and your kids and your job and your, right? And then fear is the recognition that your choices matter, that you have to do the right thing by those, or you can damage them. And then you get to Anavah. So Anavah is generally translated into English as humility. The problem is English usually translates humility as meekness. Right? We think of a person who's humble as being, a weak, early man who apparently can't open the kitchen door. But humility is not an inferiority complex. It is not the same thing as a lack of self-confidence. Right? You can be supremely self-confident and still be humble. An arrogant person is a person who feels that I'm the only thing that matters. It's all about me. Right? A humble person is a person who recognizes two things. One, they recognize who they themselves truly are. Right? You have clarity. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he says he's humble, right? He's humble. This is a guy who just told Pharaoh to blow the whole place up and let his people go. Right? He's burned, he took the greatest civilization in the world, he basically burned it to the ground and killed everybody off, and he stood up to Paro. Right? He stood up to the Jewish people. He's a tough guy. Right? He's, not a mild-mannered, meek guy. Yet he's still called an Anav. Why? Because he understood who he was and what his role was and how he fit into the bigger picture and what Hashem wanted him to do and what was a gift of Hashem. He didn't get, all high on himself thinking that he's Superman. He is Hashem did this, right? I didn't build this. Hashem built this. Hashem gave me the power. Hashem gave me the skills. That a person who's an Anav has absolute clarity as to who he is. Right? For a guy who's the best, the best left-handed batter in baseball, to think he's the best left-handed batter in baseball is not necessarily arrogance if he is. Right? If he thinks that he's hot stuff because of it, that's arrogant. Right? For Clayton Kershaw to realize that he's a fine left-handed pitcher is not arrogance. It's humility. If he attributes it to Hashem, if he's willing to be part of something greater and use that pitching skill, it's not that I'm better than everyone because I'm a great pitcher. This is the gift that I'm given, and how can I use it? And I can use that to bring a pennant to Los Angeles. Right? That's an important thing to do with my tremendous left-handed pitching skills, is humiliate the Giants and bring a pennant to Los Angeles. That humility is a recognition of who you are and what you have, and a recognition that there are things that are greater than you that you can use it towards. Right? That a person who says what's higher than me is what's important. That what I want is a life of meaning. That I'm living ultimately, that the charisma of Anavah is I am living for a cause. I'm living for an ideal. Right? There are things in the world that are important, and my life is focused on bringing what's important to fruition. It's not just about what can I eat and what can I taste and how do I bring it. It's not an arrogant person who says, I have this skill and it's all here for me. A humble person says, I have this skill, and this skill is a gift that I've been given to use right? To serve things that are greater, right? A true Anav is willing. You're willing to sacrifice, right? Sometimes you'll see an Anav is willing to die. You're willing to lead, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, if you told him that his job was cleaning up, he would have cleaned up, right? If you told him his job was, that's why you see, Yehoshua, who takes over from him is Yehoshua. Well, what did Yehoshua do? What was his great claim to fame? He's the guy who cleaned up the base midrash after Moshe. Right? Moshe's done teaching. Who's the guy who stays behind to put all the books back on the shelves, so to speak? It's Yehoshua. If that's the job that needs doing, that's the job that needs doing. If the next job that needs doing is leading the Jewish people into Israel, so that's the job I'll do. Right? Whatever you need me to do, I'm here to do, because it's not about me. It's about Hashem. It's about the Jewish people. It's about Torah. It's about, right? It's degrading if you think that everything in your life, every skill that you're given, is there to be slaved or subordinated to the drive of meeting your own physical pleasures. Right? Everything I have is all about getting something good to eat. Right? That's all. I'm just a big bag of, meat waiting to die and rot away, and everything I do, I'm going to put in my life is dedicated towards serving the pleasures of that bag of meat. Instead, he says, you want to live a life that's focused on meaning. I want to be great. Human beings want to be great. Right? I want to accomplish something. I don't want to wake up at 60 years old and say my life was nothing. I did nothing of any use. Right? I was no better at 60 than I was at 40, and no better at 40 than I was at 20. And my whole life was trying to figure out how I was going to make the lease payment on my fast car so I could get to the beach and play in the, right, and chase girls and eat fancy food and drink good wine. And it's like your whole life is about pure physicality. Right? It's all about me. That's arrogance. How do I satisfy my thirsts? But if you say, I'm identifying myself, what I see myself as is as part of something big and important and great. I'm a servant of God. Right? I'm one of the Jewish people. I'm an Eved to my community. I'm a Baal Chesed. Whatever it is, this is my mission. And I'm going to take what God gives me as a gift and lead the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. I don't have to be meek. I don't have to be mild. I don't have to have a lack of self-esteem or a lack of self-confidence. That the Anavah, right, the charisma of humility, is I see exactly who I am, and I know what skills I have, and I know what weaknesses I have, and I know what God gave me, and I recognize it's all a gift, and I use those things to do bigger things. Whatever skills God gives me, if I can speak, I'll teach. All right? I'll teach. If I can cook, I'll cook. I'll do chesed. Right? If I can, carry a tune, I'll be a Baal Tefillah. Whatever it is, big things, little things, I recognize that there's stuff that has to get done, lives that have to be improved, and whatever I have in the way of gifts, I recognize they're gifts, and I use them to do more, to serve God. That's Anavah. So first three attitudes. A recognition that there are important things in the world that are cool. Yira is really more personal. There's stuff in the world that's precious to me. Anavah. I see that I fit in the world, and what I have is a gift, and I have a role to play. And I want to be part of something. I want to be great. I want to be meaningful. I want to be a small part in something that's huge. Right? It's funny because to us the drive for greatness arises from Anavah. Right? In English, you would not think that humility is the thing that drives you to greatness. But in our concept, Anavah is the thing that drives you to greatness. It's because it's not about me. It's about serving. It's about being part of something bigger and better and meaningful. That's Anavah.